Hi everyone, welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Teddy Atlas III, and joined as always by my main man, Boxing Hall of Famer, Nostradamus himself, Teddy Atlas. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. I know you're a little under the weather. You've been sick, so I appreciate. I'm sure all the people out there appreciate you. Stepping up and doing what you have to do, living up to your commitment, even though you don't feel good. I know I appreciate it, and again, I'm sure that everybody out there does. And I see the sweatshirt. That should make you feel better. That's why you're doing it. You're a fireman, and that was just released. So I guess I should mention that it's out there. Box Raw, what I think is a great clothing company. Obviously with the theme of boxing, but they do a great job, great quality. And Ben Amana is the CEO. And a couple of years ago, we decided we were gonna do a joint venture with that line, with the Teddy Atlas 36 line. We Are Firemen line. And the thing that convinced me to do it was we were walking through an airport, I think in London, and my son had told me, Dad, we should do some with this fireman, line with clothing, with the saying. It's all over the place, everywhere. So I said, nah, I don't think so. And we're walking through the airport, all of a sudden, you have a bunch of people screaming, Teddy, we are firemen. So, and then when it happened everywhere we went in Saudi Arabia, when you get off a plane in Saudi Arabia and people are yelling, we are firemen, you say, you know what, maybe Teddy the third has a good idea and maybe we should do it. So it was released last week. It's out there, it's online. My son could tell you all that stuff. When it comes to online stuff, forget about me. I'm the worst with technology, but it's out. It's a fireman line. We got hoodies, we got shirts, we got everything. So hopefully you could tell the people how they can find it. It's on. I know it's the Box Raw website, and I'm sure that wouldn't
We're
be too
sharing a
hard.
bunch of stories on all your platforms and socials where they could find it, but it's boxroar.com. Go to boxroar.com, and it's the Teddy Atlas Fireman 36 collection line. So they're starting to go pretty quick, but we might need Ben to refill some orders.
Yeah, I know they sold out. Some of them sold out in the first day. Oh, came very close to. I think actually one of the hoodies sold out on the first day, which is really nice to hear. I think everyone relates to it. No matter what your fight is in life, it doesn't have to be in a ring, doesn't have to be with a fist, with whatever it is that you're dealing with, that you're trying to, conquer in this world, whether for yourself, for your family, for whatever. There comes a time when you have to be a fireman. Yeah, you just gotta say, hey, the flames don't intimidate me. I'm not afraid of the heat. I can go in the heat. I can live in the heat. You can do anything if it's important enough to do it, and if you train yourself to do it, and you just forge yourself to be somebody that can stand up to the pressures of life, the fire. So anyway, we had some fire over the weekend. We, as you alluded to, Bud, we did good with our picks again. I always tell people bet responsibly. Don't bet. Don't even bet. Just listen to our stuff on the ropes, and get a better feel for what's going to happen, a better understanding, an X-ray, a CAT scan of what to look for. And maybe it'll make your viewing pleasure that much more enjoyable. Or if you want to bet responsibly. I never want to push anyone towards betting, but it is obviously something out there that a lot of people, that grabs the attention of a lot of people. You see these betting sites all over the darn place, everywhere. There was a time when you couldn't talk about betting on TV, quite frankly. And we talk frankly. We're not afraid to hide those things. But now it's all over the place. Gambling is a big part of our society. And I just figured if people are going to bet, they might as well be as informed as possible. And since we started this launch of the ropes community, where you get access to many things besides, live streaming, virtual training, Q&A. We had a Q&A the other night. We had a great time with the ropes committee in there, community, with the Q&A. They were asking about diet, the fighter's diet, the diet that we used up in Custom Models when we had the training camp up there. We went over that. We spoke for probably an hour and a half. I call them our family. We sit at a table like a family and we talk. What do we talk? We talk boxing. It's kind of like in the old days when you went into a barber shop. What did they talk? Boxing. And it was enjoyable. But as far as one of the dimensions of the ropes is that you can get my picks. And I look at film, I put quite a bit of time into it, and we break it down, and I feel pressure because I don't want to let you guys down. But at the end of the day, we've been doing pretty good. We've been doing pretty good. We went 2-0 last night. We had the Pacheco fight. And I always look for something where you don't have to lay exorbitant odds. That's what makes it even trickier and more, for me, more successful, that I can find something that could bring your money back without laying a lot of money. And in this case, Pacheco was a pretty big favorite. So what did I do? I figured out that the line favored the knockout. Everybody thought that Pacheco was going to knock him out. They thought that Sadjo was made to order for him, which it looked like he was. But then I watched film and I saw something here and there and said, okay, I think it's got a real good shot to go the distance. Bet on it. Pacheco wins going the distance. And you got money back. You actually got a good line on that. And then the other one was the fight at night with Mikaelian and Badou Jack. And again, I saw that I thought Mikaelian would win a decision. And if you bet him to win the decision, you could get a good line. So we were 2-0. I don't know what our overall record is. I know it's pretty good.
22-2-2 since September 13th, the inception at the ropes. That's better than pretty good. That's amazing. It's incredible. It's unheard of. And that's what we're doing at the ropes. Like you said, the Q&A was awesome. It was deep. It was powerful. It was great conversation, great energy, great questions asked, a lot of fun. People who care. People who care about boxing, about getting better. And what better way to cap it off than with some winning picks, like you just said. 2-0, plus 190 by decision, Diego Pacheco. And then Noel Mikaelian, plus 140 by decision. You swept it. You keep it going. Let's get right into it, bud. Let's talk about the first fight. That's Carson, California. That was on DAZN. And that's the hometown and backyard of Diego Pacheco, 168-pounders. He fought Kevin Sadjo. Now, Kevin Sadjo from Cameroon, fights mostly out of France. Well-traveled fighter. He's fought in a lot of different countries, but never in the United States. That's what makes it hard with handicapping some of these fights. A guy that's unknown, he's never fought at this level before. Diego Pacheco, 11 years younger. Diego Pacheco, 8 inches taller, 11-inch reach advantage. It was all there for everybody to say what they were saying. What I saw all the so-called experts saying, Pacheco's going to win by knockout. This is the coming out party. And you said not so fast. You nailed it. I've been saying this on this show, and I'm going to keep saying it. There's nothing to ask you. You said it all before the fight. You said it in the preview at the ropes and in the prediction, the typed right up. But I'll say it again. Incredible. You said exactly what would happen. You described both fighters to a T. Sadjo you compared to Christian and Billy. And it was that kind of style. And Sadjo, to his credit, he made it his kind of fight. An ugly fight, a sloppy fight. A fight where Pacheco had to dig deep. And Pacheco really did have to dig deep. In the 8th round, he was dropped. He started getting in some trouble. He dug deep. He found a way. He closed the show. In the end, it was maybe not the most fun fight for some of the fans with some of the sloppiness, but a very intriguing, competitive fight. Diego Pacheco remains undefeated. You do it again by unanimous decision, plus 190. Just want to hear your thoughts. I just said it all, but what else can you add?
I want to take a line out of, out of a movie, a line out of Goodfellas. That was a pretty good movie. It had a lot of good lines in there. I don't want to see you wearing fur coats and stuff all of a sudden.
Box Raw only.
The Box Raw. That's it. No fur. I don't want to see you all of a sudden fur. Bring it back. I told you not go spend. I told you don't be spending all over the place because then everyone's going to be coming after us. They can get the money too. Everyone's
no pink Cadillac for Lana. No pink Cadillac.
I don't want to see her driving a Cadillac. She's driving a Lexus, so she's doing all right. God bless her. Look, at the end of the day, you got to know what you're looking at. I've been doing this 50 years. I don't only look at weaknesses, I look at strengths. I don't only look at strengths, I look at weaknesses. I look at it all. And starting with Pacheco, you had a caveman in Sadjo. But this caveman he uses a sophisticated club. He's short. He fits the bill for caveman, crude, all that stuff. People think, he's made to order. He's just going to walk in. He's going to get hit uppercuts. He raises his arms a little bit when he covers. So he's going to get hit that left hook in the body that Pacheco has knocked out, paralyzed guys with, to the liver. All of that. What they didn't see was that this little tank called Sadjo, he covers up well, he moves his head well, he brings his legs, he doesn't reach too much. He throws some wide shots. He also throws some short shots. And to your point, he makes it his fight. He gets inside and he makes it his fight. He puts you into the fire. And you might not want to be in the fire. You might be a guy that, you want to build a fire. No, he gets in there and he puts you in fire. He puts you in a situation that's uncomfortable. He puts you in his domain. And the greatest asset of Pacheco, if he's going to be what everyone wants him to be, is that he can fight his fight. And that's what everyone thought he would do. He's tall, he's long. He'll be able to control the outside. He'll be able to catch Sadjo coming with the uppercut, split the guard. He'll be able to hit him, like I said, the left hook to the body. All of that. He'll make him pay a price before he gets to him. He'll mug him before he gets to that neighborhood. I saw what they saw. I saw the commentators before the fight where they both picked him to win by knockout. Matter of fact, they said it's his coming out party and all that. I understand. That doesn't make them not smart. They're smart. They see what's more convenient to see. You got to look a little bit beyond that. Like I talk about with the CAT scan. You got to go a little deeper. And I saw, first of all, this guy had a good amateur background. And I saw that there's something about this guy. Even on the inside, when he does that rugged stuff, that ugly stuff, he puts his hands in the right position. He's like one of those MMA guys on the floor when he's on the mat and they get their hands in position where you can't do nothing. He gets his hands in the right position where he not only nullifies you on the inside, because people would say, Teddy, Pacheco shouldn't be on the inside. Yeah, but he knows how to throw in the inside. He did what he had to. But yeah, he shouldn't be on the inside. But the thing is, Sadjo, when he gets in there, he moves you around and he makes you feel what he wants you to feel. That you're in there with a guy who's going to be a little more than maybe you were expecting tonight. A guy who's going to boss you around. A guy who's physical. A guy who's going to find a way to do what he wants to do. A guy who's going to put his hands on you. He starts sending a mental message and a debilitating message mentally and physically, because one of two things is happening. The pressure is weighing you down, you're feeling the pressure, or you're pushing back against him, and you're getting tired from that. You're getting exhausted from that. You're getting worn down. Who's the boss now? Now, who's the boss? I thought I was. I'm the guy on the outside. I'm the guy with all the fanfare. I'm the guy with all the talent, with the long arms, with the height advantage, everything else. And all of a sudden, this guy didn't read the script. This guy actually, and then the commentators, the people outside, they might not see the little subtle things he's doing, but the fighter who's in there with him feels them, moving him around, hitting them little short shots, little tiny little shots on the inside to the body, banging him here, banging him there, stepping with him every time he steps out, looking to catch him every once in a while when he steps out. And the other part of the puzzle, there's flaws to Pacheco. So I looked at the flaws. I said, he pulls back from punches. He goes back 2-3 steps in a row. He drops his hands. Sometimes he'll throw like he threw that right hand right in front where the left hook hit him. Sometimes he'll throw at the wrong time in the wrong position because he's gotten away with that. He's out of position a lot of times with his upper body, pulling back from punches. So when I saw that, I said to myself, Sadjo has the ability, the mental makeup, the style to expose some of those flaws, to catch him pulling back, to catch him standing straight up, to catch him dropping his hands, to catch him throwing a punch right in front where he can come. And another thing, Sadjo being the caveman everybody labeled him, and I get it, his hands are pretty fast. I watched, I said, his hands are a little quicker. You see that left hook? Pretty damn quick. Ask Pacheco. He would say, oh yeah, Teddy, it was pretty quick. Yeah, put me on my backside. It was pretty quick. So I see all this, and I say, wait. It's one of two things. He's either going to expose Pacheco, which he came close to doing, or he's going to wake him up. He's going to wake a sleeping giant. He's going to make Pacheco. He's going to give Pacheco the test he needs to be all the things people want him. And he'll rise up and he'll find the way to survive, to exist, to win. And that's the way I pictured it when I watched the film over and over. I said, there's a good chance this could happen. And that's what happened. Pacheco got exposed for all the things I just said. But then he got tested in a way that he'd never been tested. He didn't know if he could pass the test. He hoped he could. His people hoped he could, but he had to find out. And he went to a dark place. And he found out. He found out. There were only two choices. He was going to get conquered or he was going to conquer. And he decided to conquer. If he becomes a great fighter, he should send a bonus to Sadjo. Send him a bonus. He made you a great fighter. He let you know that it's in you to be a great fighter. Yeah, you got to correct those things, technically, that I just talked about. Yes, but you have to have that something to build around. He has it now. That's another reason why I picked Sadjo to go the distance. Pacheco had never been tested. And how do we know how a guy's going to behave when they're tested? I don't care about this guy, that guy, this guy's a tough guy, and this guy did this, and this guy tested him, and this guy went there, and this guy went there. He was never tested. And I thought to myself, this guy could test him. And that's it. That's it. I don't want to belabor it. I think I broke it down the way that you would want me to break it down, Bud. The way hopefully the people out there can understand it. At the end of the day, this Sadjo. And look, don't forget the point. Pacheco's what, 23, 24 years old?
24.
Yeah, it's Sadjo's 35. Maturity comes in, all of it. But this Sadjo, there's something to this guy that went beyond what you immediately see when you just look at him. You say, oh, I got a short guy here. He's crude. He's rude. He's going to get spanked. No. Where Sadjo comes from, he does the spanking. I tell you, if this was like I said, if this was, I think if this was in some ways the way that, and I know there's faults here and there, there's pros and cons, don't get me wrong. But if it was set up a little bit the way the UFC, and I know there's a lot of things could be better there and could be better everywhere in the world. There's always these better, this, that. But where I would give a bonus. I would give a bonus to both guys. I know it was a sloppy, ugly fight in a lot of spots, but I would give a bonus at the end for both guys what they showed. What Pacheco showed to bite down, as you say to me, gotta bite down, to bite down and come out, to pull it out, come out of that dark place and find light. And then for Sadjo, when he got hurt, oh my goodness, for him to just deny those thoughts that were knocking at the door, those feelings that were knocking at the door. To deny it. Say, no, I'm closing the door. I'm not giving in.
You nailed it. I said it before. I mean, excellent pre-fight, excellent post-recap just now. I'm so glad you said what you did. To me, I was thinking the same thing. What a crucial fight for Diego Pacheco to have now in this young kid's development at 24 years of age. Now, I laugh, a little bit, Bud, because listening to what you just said, and again, I couldn't agree more, it's discounted, everything that just happened in what you said. The fans out there are saying Pacheco is food. Pacheco's not what we thought he was. Pacheco's in trouble moving forward. And I walked away exactly with what you said, more impressed. That he did find out about himself, that he did bite down, that he did overcome. And he picked himself off the canvas and passed with flying colors the last few rounds. He really did show something to me. And I think that's been lost with a lot of the comments. But anyway, I think you nailed it.
But let me ask you a question, and I'm not trying to be a wise guy. Maybe I am, a little bit. But I'm not trying to knock anyone, really. But how many of those fans that are calling them food, right, have trained fighters? I'd like to know. How many of them have made a living in boxing? I'd like to know. How many of them have been in the ring before? I'd like to know. I don't know. It's just a little something that makes me curious when people just so cavalier, so quickly say, he's food. Yeah, he could get physically a little. Maybe he could eat a little more food, Pacheco, and get on a weight program and get a little bit more physically stronger in some areas. Maybe, yeah. I wouldn't fight that. But the strength where it matters, Bud, up here, in here, that strength was there.
Similar conversation about Hamza Shiraz after his fight versus Carlos Adames, which ended in a draw. Right, and a lot of people were down on Hamza. Fast forward, one fight later, he learned from that fight. He knocks out Berlanga. People are back on the train. I think that's what will happen with Diego eventually. We will see what's next. I thought you made a good point when you compared Sadjo to a mini or a similar to Christian Mbele. Was that maybe the fight next? Was this opponent chosen to go that route? But listening to Eddie Hearn after the fight, doesn't seem that's the case. The name I'm hearing is Jaime Munguia is what they want next for Diego Pacheco. And it makes sense in a lot of ways, especially both Mexican.
Yeah, it'll sell out wherever they put it. It'll be a money fight. It'll be a big fight. And off of this fight and off of the improvement that will come, I'll say it again, off of the improvement that will come to Pacheco, which I have no doubt will come, off of that, I could see why Eddie and Pacheco's people are looking at a fight with him, where they can see with Munguia, they can see where there's things that they can take advantage of, where they can have some advantages. I mean, I'll start with one. I won't go into it because when it's made, we'll break it down and we'll put it out there. But somebody named Canelo dropped Munguia with an uppercut. Do I remember that correctly? Yes, I do. All right, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pacheco's got a good uppercut.
Yeah, and just to make note, Pacheco, that was his first fight without David Benavidez' father training him in his corner. So, new trainer, new camp. We'll see what those adjustments look like moving forward for him. I'll finish with this, but for Sadjo, give me Sadjo versus Mbelly next. Man, if Mbelly doesn't fight the rematch after that war with Lester Martinez, that would be fun. Or how about this? How about Hamza Shiraz? Maybe he could have an opportunity now, similar size and length and advantages that Diego had. Could he take Sadjo out? Could be an interesting fight.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Sadjo earned, I think, by his behavior throughout that fight, especially late in the fight when he overcame what he had to overcome after he dropped Pacheco. I think he earned the right to get another fight, another big fight. I mean, he was nobody gave him a shot really, except some guy with his fireman gear on over there.
That's right. We will keep it moving, but before we do, going to take a quick pause. Thank today's sponsor, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens, the all-in-one daily drink to support better health and peak performance. These guys spent 10 plus years with top nutritionists and doctors to create this formula. It's made from 75 whole food sourced ingredients. It has vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, and antioxidants. This is like an insurance policy for your body's health. Athletic Greens is giving our listeners 3 travel packs for free and a free welcome kit including vitamin D3 and K2 and AG1 travel packs when you first subscribe. So whether you're looking to boost your energy levels, support your immune system, or address gut health, Athletic Greens is the way to go. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/atlas. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/atlas. There they are, Athletic Greens. That might be, is that what's the special formula in your water, getting us all these winning picks?
Don't cut my hair and don't take away my AG1! That's the power.
That's the power. We're going to get into the next fight. We're going to recap. This is going to be from the cruiserweights. We're going to stick in California. This one was in LA. And this was Badou Jack putting his WBC cruiserweight title on the line versus Noel Mikaelian. This was a rematch. The first fight was controversial. Jack won a majority decision. That was in May. And I just said it before, and I'll say it again. You nailed this one at the ropes. You said it before the fight. The type up pick report of yours, your handicap and your analysis, man, was it spot on. You laid out some of the fears of backing Noel, that Badou is a good counterpuncher, that he is obviously a former world champion with the greater resume and the better technical fighter, and that he could land some big clean shots, which he did early on in the fight. But you also stated that he's 42 years of age now, and Noel, the bigger man, more physical man, might be able to handle that and outwork him. And that's exactly what happened. I thought the early fight played out where Badou had some counters, and it was playing out exactly as we just laid it out. And then things got a little sloppy, to say the least. The referee was his last fight of his career. Referee Jerry Cantu, had a little tough go there, right? Getting things in order. And both fighters had points deducted from them. We get to the 8th round. Almost a mini riot breaks out at the end of the round. It was rabbit punching. Yeah, a lot of tactics going on. A little roughhousing, to say the least. Thankfully, things got under control. Did not spiral any further. But that was the turning point in the fight. Jack seemed like he emptied it all out. He was emptied after that 8th round. And Noel did exactly what you said he was going to do. He was bigger. He was more active. He had more in the gas tank. And he outworked him. Again, wasn't the funnest or the cleanest, unless you had Noel to win by decision at plus 40 like we did. But just want to hear your thoughts. But it's hard to say more when you said it all before it happened. But just want to hear your breakdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off what you said, and I'm gonna make a little change to the words that you just used. I'm gonna revise it just a notch. You just said, and rightfully so, you said what you saw, what everybody saw, that to be exact, it was after the 7th round. that the fight dramatically changed. It was a close fight up to that point, and it dramatically changed. And you said after that point and all the stuff that happened, that it looked like Badou Jack emptied his tank. I wrote it down. I want to make sure I quote my son properly, because I know I'll hear about it later from you and your sister, the lawyer, that says, no, you didn't quote him properly. So I would just change that to this. After the 7th round, Badou Jack got old right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, he became 42.
Maybe more, maybe more. And it happened quick, and it happens in my business. And that's why I know how to handicap sometimes, a little bit, because I know when you get a guy who's had a lot of miles on the odometer, I don't judge fighters chronologically only. I judge them by the amount of fights, tough fights, punches that they've incurred during their career. And when you have a fighter like Badou Jack, who's 42, and he's been in a lot of tough fights, and he's been around, he's won titles at 3 different weight classes. I mean, he's terrific. He's a future Hall of Famer. When you have that guy, and he's now 42, it is no shock to me that suddenly he's going to get old. It's just a matter of when. Can you project when? When will he get old? And it does happen right in front of your eyes sometimes. It actually does. Bang! He's old. And it can happen with a guy who's naturally bigger, which, of course, Mikaelian was. He's naturally bigger. He's busier. He can push on you a little bit, weigh you a little bit. But the most important thing is, at a certain point, we all get to a place where we're not as good as we used to be. Whatever, whether it's singing with your voice, whether it's, playing football, playing baseball, having an eye as a surgeon with a doctor, that you don't see it quite the way you used to see things. Whatever it is, you don't hit your mark as an actor anymore or as a fighter. You can't pull the trigger. He couldn't pull the trigger. He could not pull the trigger after the 7th round. Now, the reason I picked him leading up to it, I saw the pros and cons. Badou Jack, a cleaner puncher, technically more solid, better in those areas. Like you said, he counter punches. He can do that. He goes to the body well. He places punches better. What I saw with Noel is he's busier. He's not going to place the punches as well always, but he's busier. His workload is higher. He will outwork you. And I'm looking at Badou Jack at his best, and I'm saying he's deliberate. He's not a real busy guy. He places punches. He's deliberate. He doesn't waste anything. He's the kind of guy that could be a candidate to get outworked. But then put into the midst that he's 42. He's 42. And he's that way. I said, oh, no doubt about it. I think Mikaelian will outwork him. And I think that Badou Jack may get old during the course of this action. And that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you, if it was a year earlier, 2 years earlier, I don't know, put the clock back, Badou Jack would have had a shot to drop him. Because from the 7th round on, yeah, Mikaelian outworked him. Yeah, he imposed his size on him to a certain extent. But I would also say he reached in. I watched for 3 straight rounds where he reached in and my heart was in my throat because I wanted to win this for the ropes. I wanted to win I like both fighters. I have nothing against either one. But I picked Mikaelian for the ropes to win. So my heart was in the throat. I was saying, oh my goodness. This Noel is reaching in from too far away. He's just begging to be counterpunched. He's begging to be caught something on the way in. But Badou Jack, he saw it, but he couldn't pull the trigger. He couldn't. I felt sorry for him. And the last thing I add to it, Bud, he looked old. His body looked bloated. Yeah, I know he's the naturally smaller guy. He moved up to cruiserweight, but you could see that he got a body that it 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 looks that way because of where he is now in his life.
No, well said. Excellent breakdown. And I just want to say this. I got to know and meet and spend a little time with Badou Jack in Saudi Arabia. I believe he's living over in Dubai now. And what a class act. What a gentleman. He always has been. It sounded like after this fight, he said he wasn't feeling great when they asked him about what's next for him. Would it be a third fight versus Noel? And it sounds like it's the end, that he's going to retire. I hope so. He deserves it. He's had a tremendous career. I just want to say, in regards to his career, when you go back to 2018, he had a tough, brutal fight versus Adonis Stevenson, who was then the man at 175. And that fight ended in a draw. I thought that was the end of maybe Badou Jack's career. After that, he had the brutal headbutt fight versus Marcus Brown, where he loses. He then fights an older, great former world champion, but older and way past his prime, Jean Pascal. He loses again. And from that point on in 2019, he reinvented himself. He went to cruiserweight. He picked some spots. There was some inactivity, but he won another title in another weight class, like he said, his third, and hadn't lost until last night, 7 fights in a row. So just wanted to throw that out there and mention that. Congratulations to Badou Jack. Hope he enjoys his retirement. He deserves it.
And to your point, Bud, you could even see at the end of the fight how he conducted himself. He's a gentleman. He's
class.
honest. He's everything you want in a champion. He's a good human being. And I'll just leave it with this off of what you said. He told you right there that he realized he got old. He said it he didn't go further because he's not going to make excuses. He's not going to make it sound like it's excuses. So he ain't going to go further. But he said everything that you needed to hear. He said, I didn't feel good. I don't feel good. That's what he said. I don't feel good. I don't know. It's been, I'm getting old. It's hard to do this. It's hard to do this. He knew right then. And how sad is that? Just think about it for a minute, Bud. This great fighter, and after the 7th round, where he sees this guy reaching in, sees him coming at him, and he can't do anything about it. It's like you're trapped in your own body.
Yeah, that's some way to put it. You just gave me goosebumps. Just to gut it out the way he did with nothing left, with that age, with the tank, you name it. Very impressed by Badou. And as you mentioned, about the reaching in by Noel, somebody else saw that as well and called him out immediately after the fight. And that's Diego Pacheco, hoping for a unification bout. So we'll see if that'll be next in the cruiserweight division.
Yeah, if he reaches in there with Opataya, who A, can punch, B, is young, undefeated, and will pull the trigger. He will pull the trigger. If he does that, Opataya will make him pay a pretty heavy price.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great breakdown. And when you talked about Badou Jack and the age, I mean, this is boxing, right? I mean, other sports, today, here in a little bit, Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement at 45, hasn't played football in the NFL in 5 years, starting at quarterback today. Pretty incredible. But then to do it in boxing, it's unheard of.
Yeah, it really is. And the last thing I don't probably didn't even have to say this, but just as far as the people out there that love the analysis part, they want to get all of that, every bit of it. Noel had the edge on the outside because of his natural size and height. When he used the jab, he was effective. That was a big part of, him having an edge, that he had the edge on the outside. But Badou Jack had to get closer to be able to do the things that were going to be effective for him. But again, at the end of the day, all of that kind of goes by the wayside because when you get old, whether you got to get inside or you got to fight outside, it ain't happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep it moving from that one. We will show your typed up report, though, Bud, for that fight. And again, another win, 2-for-2 night there at the ropes. And we're going to wrap it up with a preview. December 19th, Friday night in Miami, Florida, on Netflix. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. I just want to get right into it, Bud. I'm just going to lay out the rules. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. Lots to unpack and uncover here. But this fight, Joshua cannot weigh more than 245 pounds. It's an 8-round fight, 3-minute rounds, 10-ounce gloves. A lot of people out there when this is announced that Jake Paul's going to get killed. I'm starting to see some people saying maybe he has a shot. It's been 15 months since Joshua was last in the ring, and he was knocked out by Daniel Dubois. I want to hear your talk, your pick for this fight, Paul and Joshua.
Yeah, listen, it's an event. It's a money grab. There's no doubt about that. But it's real too. We think it is anyway, and I have no reason to think it isn't. Although I wouldn't be responsible if I didn't throw that out there because I know it's out there. I know after the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, that obviously people probably have that in their mind, and I don't blame them. I don't think that I don't know of anything that would tell me that this thing is pre-scripted or preordained, fixed, if you want to use that terrible term, or whatever. But as far as on just looking at it the way that we have to look at it, which is on what is in front of us, you got a former 2-time heavyweight champ, gold medalist in the Olympics, bigger, stronger, professional, top fighter, top amateur, against a guy who's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. And I give credit to Paul. He's worked his backside off to build this promotional machine that he has, to build this dream, to make this vision come to light. Incredible businessman, and incredible what he's done in the ring. That, yeah, he's picked the spots and everything else, but he still faced danger. And he still, took it serious, where he's trained his backside off and where he's improved as a fighter. Does that put him in the class of a top professional fighter who's been doing it his whole life? No, of course not. But does that make you at least examine it? Yes. And when I examine it, I start with a couple things. First of all, Jake Paul is pretty damn smart. He hasn't made too many mistakes. I know it was the Tommy Fury fight. That was close. But
one loss.
There's one loss. But he hasn't made too many damn mistakes. And now, the guy's been a half a genius. And so I look at it and I said, all right, I want to look at everything. Don't look at just he's going to get killed. That's the easy way to look at it. It might be the right way. It might be. But I want to look at what you touched on, now go deeper. It's been 15 months. He hasn't fought. Joshua. Last time he got in the ring, he got destroyed. He got knocked out. That's hard to overcome. There's bats in the belfry. There's ghosts in the attic. That's hard to overcome. That's there. His confidence, all of those belief systems have been damaged. He hasn't done anything since. We don't know what kind of shape he's been in. He looks like a guy who lives right, who doesn't live poorly, who takes care of himself, but still, he don't look like he has any vices. But still, 15 months is 15 months. Hasn't done anything. We don't know, in his mind, he might have been retired. We don't know. But at the same time, we don't know what weight he went up to. Paul is smart. He's always smart. He put a 245-pound cap on this. We don't know if Joshua went up to 285. We don't know. And he's got to take all that weight off. That can hurt you, obviously. That could be something that can even the playing field a little bit. Yeah. So we don't know that. Now, we do know that he hasn't been below 252, I think, for the last 5 fights or so. And he's been higher than that. So here's a guy 15 months off. He's got to come in the lowest weight. He's got to come in lower than any weight in his last 5 fights. He's got to come in where he hasn't been doing nothing for 15 months. He didn't have a huge amount of time for this fight to get ready once it was announced. And then, of course, have a training camp and everything else. And they're already talking about Fury and Joshua. So you're going to tell me his mind is on Paul? Maybe you just say, Teddy, you're crazy. You don't have to be on Paul. He's just gonna swat him like you swat a mosquito. You know, he's an annoying mosquito. He's gonna get him out of the way, and then he's gonna go to the barbecue. All right, okay, maybe.
And that's what they said in 2019 when they were fighting Andy Ruiz. Looked right past him to bigger things.
Yeah, so that scenario could be there again. The same thing. So if he's not really taking him serious, which you could understand, if he wasn't in the greatest shape, which is possible, if he had to take a lot of weight off, which is possible, to make 245, if his mind is still not right from that terrible loss, that knockout loss to Dubois, if all of these things are in the mix, what is a win? Define a win in Jake Paul's world. You define it for me, because I've defined it maybe in a different... Go ahead, bud. Jump in there. I'm sorry.
No, my first thing I would say to that is, for me, the win for Jake Paul is he walks through the ropes to this fight.
Bah! But more than that. That's part of it. But I'm going to give him more credit than that, bud. He's been better than that, Paul. The win for him is he goes the distance. He shocks the world that he even can go the distance. And
or passes 2 rounds more than Ngannou did. To me, that's a win to the public.
But to me, more than that, Paul's competitive, that he would want to go the distance. And then the rest is gravy. The rest is gravy. And who says the guy, I'm not saying he's Muhammad Ali, but who says that he can't, he's a younger guy, right? He's in there with the older guy again. I know the guy's big. I know the guy's great. All that stuff are greater. But who says he can maneuver around? Who says that Joshua maybe, is hesitant the first couple rounds? You get past those, then all of a sudden, it's 8 rounds. It ain't 10. Definitely ain't 12. Who says you get past a few? You got a guy who's a little hesitant. You got a guy who hasn't fought in 15 months. You got a guy who got knocked out his last time. You got a guy who maybe, had to really torture himself to make weight, and he's not feeling really sure of himself in some of the areas he normally would feel a little bit better about himself. You have a guy looking past this to a huge Fury fight, and then all of a sudden, guy's running around, bop, 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 all over the place. All of a sudden, he gets past 2. He gets past 3. He gets past 4. I don't know. To me, again, how do you define a victory in this event? I'm not going to call it a prize fight. In this event, how do you define a victory? I think that there's different ways to define it. I think I might have just defined a victory for Paul. I'm not saying that he wouldn't want to win, but I'm saying if he goes to dinner, if he even gets down the stretch, if he gets down the home stretch, well, you could be thinking about one of those calls in the Kentucky Derby. Coming down the stretch! Here he comes! That might be in his head. Who knows? Who knows?
I know this. The sports world will be upside down if that happens. And I'm excited to watch it. I really am. I'm intrigued by it. With that being said, but you said, and I agree with you, Paul does not make a lot of mistakes with his career, with his opponent choices, right? The way he's been navigating himself. My question is, is this the mistake because he wanted to please Netflix? That maybe he was so desperate to find the replacement for Tank Davis in short notice that he goes from the 135 pounder to the 245 pounder.
As a businessman, he wants to keep a relationship. He did very well with the Tyson fight. He is pioneering things, bringing combat sports to Netflix, first time that was ever done. So he is a pioneer. Give him, let's give him his full due for the things that he is doing. And that I'm sure he doesn't want to hurt that relationship, but I'm sure that at the same time, it was his idea to come up with that name. There's no way Netflix, there's no way one of the employees at Netflix, I don't think, said, how about Joshua?
That's my point, is that he wants to please so much. It has to be a big name. It is Netflix, right? Tank was a huge name. So supposedly he reaches out to the Ryan Garcias. He starts to test waters. And maybe these guys aren't available. Maybe they outprice themselves. But is that how he then settles on the name of Joshua?
I think that being the businessman and the competitor that he is and has been, and the visionary that he's been, with what he's done, what he's developed here. Don't forget, he's helped women boxers too. Serrano's a millionaire now because he promoted her. Did a great job in those fights with Katie Taylor, for both of them, for women boxing. He's promoted good fights. He's been good for fighters from his promotional place of providing what he provided for those fighters under his care, under his banner. Give him credit for that too. I think he's a guy, that's a good point you bring up. I think that he looks for a weakness, he looks for a spot. In the past he's looked for guys that were smaller, older, but there was still always a danger there. But he looked for those things. And let's not forget, and it might have been good that it didn't happen. Who knows? But let's not forget, he was ready to fight Canelo. That got forgotten already. He was ready to fight Canelo. That seems to be very real. That and then Canelo changed up because
but he would have had all the advantages against Canelo from his size and those advantages that he does not have for the first time against
maybe
Joshua.
They wouldn't have been advantages. Maybe Canelo, would have been. He's technically, you can make an argument, he's technically superior to the bigger Joshua in some ways. He's got a better chin. I'm not saying he's knocking out Joshua. I'm just saying, I'm laying it out there. He's got a better chin. He's faster. He's quicker. Joshua's slower. He's more plodding with his feet. So where we look at where, he would have had advantages with Canelo because he's smaller than him, maybe those are disadvantages in the reality of it, because Canelo being smaller would have been able to get to him. He would have been able to catch him. His hands were faster. Blah, 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 blah. Instead he looks at Joshua in a way where, yeah, he's bigger, but he's been inactive. He's coming off a knockout loss. He's slower. He's looking at those things. He's looking at it different than someone else is looking at it. And in his mind, he's seeing what he has to see. I'm going to use another movie, and we're finishing with this. It was a good one. You like it. You and Nicole laugh about it all the time, and everything. That movie with Jim Carrey, Dumb and Dumber, where he said, so you're telling me I got a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Bang.
Yeah. Joshua is minus 1,200. Paul plus 700. Will the fight go the distance? Yes, plus 350. Believe the over-under is 3.5 rounds, even money, both sides. Gonna be interesting, but the last thing I want to ask you is this, and you touched on it with the weight. Joshua's last fight versus Dubois, 252 pounds. Versus Ngannou, 252. Versus Otto Wallin, 251. Versus Helenas, 250. Jermaine Franklin, 255. That's the last 5 fights, like you said. Now, when has he been under 245? That was Usyk, the second fight, and Usyk, the first fight. He was 244 and 240 in the first one. This, as you said, is 245. Is it a big deal? It seems like he walks around naturally around that range, that he's not cutting a lot of weight, but heavyweights never have to cut. They never have to watch their diet in that way to make weight. Is that a big deal? Am I making it more than it really is?
It's a big deal. You know why? 15 months off. We don't know how much time he had when he got the phone call. We don't know what his weight was. We have no idea. Would you be shocked if he was walking around after being off 15 months, coming off a knockout loss, everything else? I know he looks like he lives clean, don't get me wrong. But would you be shocked if he had gone up to 280? He's a big man. Would you be shocked that he was 280, 275?
With AJ, I would be. I know what you're saying with all the money and the time off that it wouldn't be.
How about 270, 265?
Tyson Fury? No, I wouldn't be shocked because he has got heavy in the past. I've never seen that out of Joshua.
I know, but we were never around to see it. We were never privy to those numbers. We just were privy to what he got in camp and what he looked like. We didn't see him, and we never really saw him with this length of inactivity in this kind of way. And again, we don't know what his weight is in between fights, and especially in between fights where you're coming off a knockout again, you're down mentally again. You might be retired in your mind. That's there too. You know, you have nothing on the horizon right there at the moment then. Who knows what his weight was? But I do think it's a big deal.
Because on the flip side, what was Paul's plan? What was he going to weigh for Tank Davis? Probably lighter than what he's going to be now, right? So a short amount of time for him to readjust and pivot of bulking back up potentially. So I do think the weight conversation plays on both ends with this fight.
I mean, you know, Paul is not going to survive. I'm not going to talk about winning. He's not going to even survive because you got to survive before you can win anyway. So he's not going to survive by being the bigger guy. He'll survive by being a smaller guy and being able to fight small and smart and fast and elusive with a guy who might be a little gun shy. Even with Paul. I mean, a lot of people probably laugh and say, Teddy, come on. Gun shy with this guy. The bell's going to ring. He's going to walk across the street. Hello, Paul. Bang. So long, Paul. That a lot of people see that. They think that. I get it. I understand.
Hey, listen. Nobody out there gave Ngannou a chance versus Tyson Fury to give rounds, except my main man I'm staring at and talking to right now, you. And it went the distance. And he had success with knocking down Fury. So I don't think it's crazy. If you're saying, I'm listening, that it might go more rounds than people think, I'm with you, bud. I'm excited to watch it. I'll say this. We're going to put out Teddy's typed pick report, full analysis and breakdown, get into some little props and a different layer of dimension. That's at the ropes. So ropes members only will be getting that. Come take a look. And also for this fight, December 19th, Friday night, which we said will be on Netflix, we're going to be live streaming it live here on YouTube, The Fight, our channel. So if you want to come on in and ask some questions and hear Teddy's commentary and maybe in-fight live betting tips as well, come join us. Check it out. It's Friday, December 19th, live here on YouTube for our Fight Companion, Teddy's live stream fight commentary. With that being said, bud, I will hand it off to you and let you take us home before signing off.
Yeah, thank you, bud. Again, thank you for, doing this, not feeling great. And,
you know what made me feel a little bit better last night? Pacheco by decision and Noel Mikaelian by decision. Made me feel a little better this morning.
Yeah, I'm glad. I am glad. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do to make this show better. and the time that you take away from your family to do it. I appreciate all that, and I appreciate all the people out there that come and take the time also to watch the show and be part of the ropes and be part of just this podcast that we've been doing, and that means a lot to us. So it's important that it means a lot to you guys. And again, we don't take it for granted. We appreciate you putting the time in that you do to watch the show and to give your comments. And my son is on top of all that. And I will never be a computer whiz. I've come to that. I've come to that truth where I will never be a computer whiz. I keep messing up every time we do a live streaming, every time we do a Q&A. It's always hard for me. I drive my son nuts. It's always hard for me to get on there, and I'm sorry for driving you nuts. But at the end of the day, we get there. With your help, I get there too. And with that, I say God bless everybody, and enjoy the holidays. We'll be talking before Christmas and before everything, Hanukkah and all the holidays for everybody, for every denomination, for Kwanzaa, for everybody. Happy holidays, and most importantly, be good to each other. God bless.
God bless everyone. Thanks for being with us. Please like, comment, subscribe. See you guys again next week.